So, today we're going to break down one of the most influential books ever written. And you might be asking why. Well, it's because Dale Carnegie tackles what he called the single biggest problem you and I face in life, just dealing with other people. And these aren't just some fuzzy theories. They're fundamental, rock-solid techniques that can totally change how you interact with, well, everyone.
All right, so let me ask you a question. What do you think is the real key to financial success? Is it your technical skill? Your deep expertise in a subject? You know, Carnegie's research uncovered a pretty startling truth that kind of flips what most of us believe about success right on its head.
Take a look at this number, 85%. Just let that sink in for a second. What on earth could this possibly represent? Think about your own career, your own goals. What single factor could possibly account for 85% of your success? I bet it's not what you're thinking.
And here it is. The Carnegie Institute actually found that only about 15% of your financial success comes from your technical knowledge. A whopping 85%, that's not a typo, comes from what they called human engineering, basically your personality and your ability to lead and deal with people. The takeaway here is just massive. Your people skills are your single greatest asset.
And look, this isn't just some academic theory. This is backed up by one of the wealthiest men in history, John D. Rockefeller. He literally said he would pay more for this one ability, the ability to deal with people, than for any other skill under the sun. That's how valuable this stuff is. So now that we get why it's so important, let's get into how we can start building these skills.
So, if people skills are that important, where do most of us get it wrong? Well, Carnegie argues that our most common and most destructive habit is criticism. We think we're helping, right? But he says it's like kicking a beehive. I mean, what do you think is going to happen? It only ever gets you stung.
And to really hammer this point home, Carnegie tells this incredible story about one of New York's most notorious criminals back in the 1930s. This guy, Two Gun Crowley, was a cop killer who got trapped in this massive police shootout. By every possible measure, he was a bad guy. But how did he see himself?
Get this. As bullets are flying all around him, Crowley writes a letter. And the words you see right here, they tell you everything you need to know about human nature. He didn't confess. He didn't apologize. He wrote, "Under my coat is a weary heart but a kind one that would do nobody any harm." In his own mind, he was the victim. He blamed everyone but himself. And right there, that brings us to the very first fundamental principle. Carnegie's logic is just so simple. If a dangerous criminal like Al Capone or Two Gun Crowley doesn't blame himself for anything, what hope do you have of making the average person, your coworker, your family member, accept your criticism? It's futile. It just puts people on the defensive and makes them dig in their heels.
Okay, so if criticism is out, what's in? What are we supposed to do instead? Well, Carnegie says we need to tap into the single deepest driver of human nature. It's this fundamental hunger that, if you can satisfy it, makes people loyal, motivated, and just on your side.
The famous psychologist William James put it perfectly. He didn't call it a wish or a desire. He called it a craving. Think about that. We all have this deep-seated, almost primal need to feel important and to be appreciated. It's what drives us to create, to achieve. It's what makes us human.
But, and this is a really big but, Carnegie makes a crucial distinction here. We are not talking about cheap, empty flattery. You know, the stuff that's all sugar and no substance. Flattery is insincere, it's selfish, and people can spot it a mile away. It comes, as he says, from the teeth out. True appreciation, on the other hand, is sincere, it's unselfish, and it comes from the heart out.
You know, one of the first American businessmen to earn $1 million salary was Charles Schwab. So what was his secret sauce? Was he a genius with steel? Nope. He said this was his secret. He was paid for his ability to inspire people. And how did he do it? By being hearty in his approbation and lavish in his praise. He built people up, he didn't tear them down.
So the second principle is so simple, but man, it's powerful. Instead of trying to find fault all the time, just try to find something you can honestly praise. When you do that, you satisfy that deep human craving for appreciation. And like Schwab said, it's the surest way to bring out the absolute best in a person.
All right, so we've covered what not to do, criticize, and what we should do, appreciate. Now we get to the third fundamental technique, and this one is the real secret to actually getting someone to do something for you.
Now, seriously, stop and think about it for a second. There is only one way under heaven to get somebody to do something, just one. And that is by making the other person want to do it. That's it. There is no other way. So how do we do that?
Carnegie uses this absolutely brilliant analogy. He says, look, I personally love strawberries and cream. It's my favorite dessert. But when he goes fishing, Does he bait the hook with strawberries and cream? Of course not. Why? Because fish don't care about what he wants. Fish want worms. The lesson is just so simple. Stop talking about what you want. Think only about what they want, and bait your hook accordingly.
And that is the third and final principle. The only way to influence other people is to talk about what they want and show them how to get it. The person who can do this, Carnegie says, has the whole world with him. He who cannot walks a lonely way. It's that black and white.
So let's bring this all together. These 3 rules, they're not complicated, are they? But they do require a huge shift in our thinking, away from ourselves and toward the other person. So let's turn this into an immediate, actionable toolkit you can start using today.
Here we go. First, don't criticize, condemn, or complain. Just don't. It never works. Second, give honest, sincere appreciation. Go out of your way to feed that universal human craving to feel important. And third, arouse in the other person an eager want. Always, always, always try to see things from their point of view first.
You know, Carnegie perfectly wraps up this whole idea, especially that first and most important principle, with this quote from Dr. Johnson. It leaves us with a really powerful question for our own lives, doesn't it? Why should you and I be so quick to judge?